They say the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel, nestled high in the Canadian Rockies, is one of the most beautiful and luxurious places in the country, a castle in the wilderness. But behind its grand stone walls and elegant chandeliers lies a dark legend, one that whispers through the halls and has made room 873 the subject of hushed conversations among staff, guests, and ghost hunters for decades. The story begins, as so many of these do, with death, when sometime in the 1970s, a man brutally murdered his wife and young daughter in that very room before taking his own life. The reasons lost to history, the aftermath chilling in its silence, because, according to hotel lore, the room was cleaned and reopened until guests started to report strange things, cold spots where no draft could reach, bloody fingerprints that reappeared on the bathroom mirror no matter how many times they were wiped, and, most disturbingly, the soft crying of a child in the middle of the night, echoing faintly through the walls. The hotel, rather than confront these claims publicly, quietly took action, first by attempting renovations, then finally by sealing the room altogether, covering the door with drywall and painting it over to match the corridor so perfectly that only a slight unevenness in the wall hinted at its existence. When asked about it, staff would deflect, claiming there never was a room 873 on that floor, or that it had simply been merged into another suite. But longtime employees would avoid walking past the section at night, and guests have reported knocking sounds coming from behind the blank wall, and even a child's faint laughter that fades as quickly as it comes. Paranormal investigators who've stayed in nearby rooms claim they've heard the shuffling of feet, disembodied whispers, and once, someone even claimed to have seen a pale little girl standing silently in the hallway, staring at where the door used to be, only to vanish when approached. Official records are scarce. No confirmed reports of a triple homicide. No police files. Nothing concrete. But the Fairmont Banff Springs is a historic hotel and once kept tragedies quiet to protect its reputation, and so the lack of evidence only makes a story feel more sinister, more real, especially since multiple unrelated guests over decades have shared eerily consistent experiences. Some guests have left in the middle of the night, checking out without asking for refunds, shaken and pale, refusing to speak of what happened in the silence of their rooms. A night shift housekeeper in the early 2000s quit after reporting that a little girl with dark hair had followed her through the hall, giggling, asking, "Do you want to play with me?" But when she turned around, no one was there. Security footage showed her speaking alone in the hallway. Another time, a skeptical travel blogger stayed 2 nights in room 875, adjacent to the sealed section, and documented faint knocking at 2:13 a.m. on both nights. Always 3 knocks spaced 5 seconds apart, like a pattern or a signal. And in the morning, she found tiny child-sized fingerprints smeared across her mirror in the same height and location each time. She later deleted the blog and refused interviews. Over the years, others have claimed to dream of the family in room 873. Vivid dreams of the father pacing with bloodied hands, of the mother sobbing silently in the bathtub, and of the little girl hiding under the bed, clutching a toy rabbit and whispering, "Don't let him find me." One tourist said he felt someone tug at his sleeve as he walked past the walled section, turned and saw no one, but found a small handprint in the dust on his coat. Even construction workers, tasked with renovating parts of the hotel, have complained of tools going missing, hearing footsteps in empty corridors, and voices whispering their names from behind the drywall. In 2011, a local ghost hunting group was given rare overnight access and set up motion detectors, EMF readers, and infrared cameras. Their footage was never released publicly, but one member later admitted they captured something they couldn't explain. A flickering shadow moving behind the sealed wall, cold spots that dropped by 20 degrees instantly, and an EVP recording where a child's voice repeated, "Mommy is gone," in a chilling, broken cadence. Still, the hotel officially denies any paranormal activity and insists there is no missing room. But former employees tell a different story. One where staff are told to avoid discussing room 873 with guests where complaints are quietly noted but never escalated, and where even current managers refuse to enter the 8th floor alone at night. Skeptics argue that the legend of Room 873 is just that, a legend. But there's something too consistent in the retellings, something about the recurring number patterns, the mirrors, the small handprints, and the always missing sound of a child crying just out of reach, that makes it all feel too specific to be myth. To this day, ghost tour guides who include the Banff Springs on their route will stop on the 8th floor, near that smooth section of wall, and tell guests to listen carefully, especially after midnight. And on some tours, people claim to hear soft knocks or catch movement out of the corner of their eye, and some guests refuse to linger too long, especially those who say they felt watched, as if someone was on the other side of the wall, waiting. Perhaps it is just a story, one born of tragic gossip and the creaks of an old last breath, searching eternally for her mother, asking the same quiet question in the dark, the same one dozens have claimed to hear echoing through the hall. Where did my mommy go? A question no one in the world has been able to answer, and perhaps no one ever will. Whatever happened in Room 873 never truly left. Over the years, even skeptics who checked in out of curiosity left with changed eyes. Some spoke of strange dreams for weeks, always the same little girl in a nightgown standing in the middle of the hallway with a mirror in her hands, silently offering it to them. Others claimed their phones recorded faint humming by themselves at 3:07 a.m., the exact time the incident is rumored to have happened decades ago. Once, during a blackout, emergency lights flickered on across the 8th floor, and the maintenance log recorded a door labeled 873 lighting up briefly on the panel, though no such room exists on the current map. Even stranger, a guest once checked into a suite and found a single photograph in the closet, dusty and torn, showing a man, woman, and child smiling on a hotel bed. But when she brought it to the front desk, they insisted no such room decor had ever existed, and the photo mysteriously vanished the next morning. That guest never returned. Some believe the hotel's glamour masks something ancient, something older than the building itself, a sorrow bound to that space not just by death, but by memory, like an echo stuck on repeat, bouncing off century-old walls, waiting for someone to listen. Perhaps that's why some still stop in front of the wall that hides Room 873 and whisper back, not out of fear, but in quiet hope that the little girl finally hears an answer. And who knows, maybe one day someone will knock 3 times, wait, and hear a soft voice say, "Mommy came back."